Nobody could have predicted that an innocent question from an 8-year-old would reveal the deepest truth about Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco's relationship. What happened next in that backyard barbecue would change everything the family thought they knew about love. August 15th, 2024. The Levin family backyard in Los Angeles was buzzing with the kind of chaotic energy that only comes from a big family gathering. Benny Blanco's older brother Ben had invited everyone over for what was supposed to be a casual summer barbecue. But everyone knew this was actually the first time Selena Gomez would meet the extended family. Selena was nervous in a way she hadn't felt in years. She'd performed for millions, walked countless red carpets, and faced media scrutiny her entire adult life. But somehow the prospect of winning over an 8-year-old felt more terrifying than any of that. Benny had been talking about his niece Gracie for months, describing her as the family's little truth-teller who had a gift for asking exactly the questions adults were too polite to voice. "She's going to love you," Benny assured Selena as they walked up the driveway, carrying homemade cookies that Selena had spent 3 hours perfecting that morning. "Just be yourself. What if myself isn't enough for an 8-year-old?" Selena laughed nervously, adjusting the casual sundress she'd changed into 3 times that morning. What made this meeting even more significant was the timing. Selena and Benny had been dating for over a year, but this was the first time either of them had introduced a romantic partner to the extended family. Benny's family was incredibly close-knit, and their approval meant everything to him. Selena understood the weight of this moment. She wasn't just meeting relatives, she was auditioning for a permanent place in Benny's world. But what neither of them knew was that little Gracie Levin had been preparing for this meeting too. She'd spent the entire week asking her parents questions that made them realize just how closely she'd been paying attention to Uncle Benny's relationship. "Why does Uncle Benny smile different when he talks about Selena?" she'd asked her mom just 2 days earlier. "And why does he check his phone more now, but look happier when he does it?" The morning of the barbecue, Gracie had conducted what she called research by watching Selena's music videos on her mom's iPad. She'd studied every facial expression, every gesture, trying to understand what made Uncle Benny talk about this woman with such excitement in his voice. "Mom," Gracie had announced over breakfast, "I think Uncle Benny's girlfriend might be magic." "Why do you say that, sweetheart?" "Because in her videos, she looks sad sometimes, but then she looks brave. And Uncle Benny always looks brave when he talks about her. Maybe she taught him how." Gracie had also been coaching herself on what questions to ask. She'd overheard her parents talking about how important it was that Uncle Benny find someone who truly loved him for who he was, not because he was famous or successful. At 8 years old, Gracie took this responsibility very seriously. The first hour of the barbecue went better than anyone expected. Selena immediately connected with Benny's family, helping his sister-in-law Sarah in the kitchen, trading stories with his parents about raising kids in the spotlight, and even successfully flipping burgers without burning them, much to everyone's amazement. What struck everyone was how naturally Selena fit into their family chaos. When Benny's teenage nephew Jake was being moody about having to come to a boring family thing, Selena sat with him and started a conversation about his skateboarding videos, somehow getting him to laugh and join the group games. When Benny's grandmother started telling the same story about her late husband for the 4th time that day, Selena listened with genuine interest each time, asking thoughtful questions that made the elderly woman beam with joy. Gracie had been watching from a distance, studying this woman who made her uncle laugh in a way she'd never heard before. She noticed how Selena asked everyone questions about themselves, how she complimented Gracie's grandmother on her potato salad recipe, and how she seemed genuinely interested when Gracie's dad showed her pictures from his recent fishing trip. But there was something else Gracie noticed that the adults missed. Every few minutes, Selena would look around until she spotted Benny, and her whole face would soften. It reminded Gracie of how she looked for her mom in crowded places. Not because she was scared, but because seeing that person just made everything feel more right. And Benny did the same thing. Even while he was deep in conversation with his brother about work or sports, his eyes would find Selena across the yard, and he'd get this little smile that Gracie recognized as his content face. The same expression he got when he was working on a song that was coming together perfectly. The most telling moment for Gracie came when Selena accidentally knocked over a glass of lemonade while gesturing during a story. Instead of being embarrassed or flustered, she just laughed at herself and started cleaning it up immediately. But what really caught Gracie's attention was how Uncle Benny automatically moved to help her. Not in a dramatic, let me save you way, but like it was the most natural thing in the world. They worked together to clean up the mess, making jokes and bumping shoulders playfully, and Gracie realized she was watching two people who were genuinely comfortable with each other. But the moment that would change everything came when the adults were all talking and Gracie found herself sitting alone with Selena on the porch swing, both of them taking a break from the chaos. Selena had noticed Gracie watching her all afternoon and decided this was her chance to connect with Benny's most important critic. "Having fun, Gracie?" Selena asked, settling onto the swing. "Uh-huh. Are you?" "I am. Your family is amazing. And your uncle talks about you all the time." "He does." Gracie's eyes lit up. "Oh yes. He showed me the song you two wrote together about your hamster. What was his name again?" "Mr. Whiskers. And it wasn't really a song. We just made up rhymes about how he runs on his wheel." Benny said it was better than half the songs on the radio. This made Gracie giggle, but then her expression grew serious in that way children get when they're about to ask something important. "Selena?" "Yes, sweetie. Do you really love Uncle Benny?" The question hit like lightning. The entire backyard seemed to freeze. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Benny, who had been laughing with his brother near the grill, went completely silent. Even a neighbor's dog seemed to pause its barking. Selena felt her heart skip several beats. She looked into Gracie's innocent brown eyes and saw not judgment or suspicion, but genuine curiosity from a little girl who clearly adored her uncle and wanted to make sure he was being loved the way he deserved. In that split second, Selena realized this was the most important audition of her life. Not for a role, not for a record deal, but for a place in this family that meant everything to the man she loved. "You know what, Gracie?" Selena said, her voice soft but clear enough for everyone to hear. "That's probably the most important question anyone's ever asked me." She turned to face Gracie completely, taking the little girl's small hands in hers. "Yes, I really, really love your Uncle Benny. Do you want to know how I know?" Gracie nodded eagerly, and suddenly all the adults were leaning in, pretending not to listen but hanging on every word. "I know because when I have a bad day, talking to him makes everything feel okay again. I know because he makes me laugh even when I don't feel like laughing. And I know because when I look at him, I see the person I want to be around for all my good days and all my hard days too." Sarah dropped the spatula she was holding. Ben felt his throat tighten with unexpected emotion. Benny's parents exchanged a look that said they'd just witnessed something sacred. But wait, this was just the beginning of what would become the most honest conversation about love this family had ever witnessed. Gracie tilted her head thoughtfully. "But do you love him even when he does gross things?" "Because Uncle Benny burps really loud, and sometimes he forgets to put his dishes in the dishwasher." The entire family burst into laughter, but Selena answered with complete seriousness. "Especially then. You know why? Because loving someone means loving all the parts of them, even the burpy parts." "What about when you're sad? Do you still love him when you're sad?" This question struck deeper than Gracie could have known. Selena had been through some of her darkest mental health struggles in recent years, and the way Benny had supported her through anxiety attacks and difficult days had shown her what real love looked like. "Oh, Gracie," Selena said, her eyes beginning to well up. "When I'm sad is when I love him most, because he doesn't try to fix me or tell me to feel better. He just sits with me and reminds me that I'm not alone." From across the yard, Benny felt tears starting to form in his own eyes. He'd never heard Selena talk about their relationship this openly, and hearing it through the innocent filter of his niece's questions was revealing truths he didn't even know she'd been thinking. Gracie's next question came after a thoughtful pause. "My daddy says that love means you want to take care of someone forever and ever. Do you want to take care of Uncle Benny forever and ever?" "I do," Selena said without hesitation. "Even when he's old and grumpy and his burps are even louder. What if he gets sick? Then I'll make him soup and terrible jokes until he feels better. What if he gets sick? Then he'll take care of me." That's what people do when they love each other. They take turns taking care of each other. But Gracie wasn't done yet. She had one more question that would leave everyone speechless. "Does he sing to you?" "Because Uncle Benny used to make up songs for me when I was little and couldn't sleep. They weren't very good," she giggled, "but they made me feel safe." Selena's face lit up with a kind of smile that made everyone understand exactly why Benny had fallen so hard for her. He does sing to me. And you're right, he's not very good at it. But those are my favorite songs in the whole world. Really? Even more than your own songs. Especially more than my own songs. What does he sing about? Selena glanced across the yard at Benny, who was now openly crying and not even trying to hide it. He sings about how my hair looks like sunshine when I first wake up. He sings about how I scrunch my nose when I'm thinking really hard. He sings about all the little things that nobody else notices. That's really romantic, Gracie said with the authority of someone who'd watched a lot of Disney movies. That's when something magical happened. Benny, who had been listening from across the yard with tears streaming down his face, walked over to the porch swing and sat down on the other side of Gracie. "Hey, troublemaker," he said to his niece, his voice thick with emotion. "What do you think? Should I keep her around?" Gracie looked back and forth between Selena and Benny, studying their faces with the serious concentration of a child making a very important decision. "Uncle Benny," she said slowly, "can I ask you something too?" "Anything, kiddo. Do you love Selena, even when she's not perfect?" Benny laughed through his tears. "Gracie, I love her especially because she's not perfect. Perfect is boring. Selena is amazing. But what if she makes mistakes? Then I'll help her fix them, or if they can't be fixed, I'll help her learn from them. What if she gets scared? Then I'll hold her hand until she feels brave again." Gracie nodded sagely, then delivered her verdict. "I think," she said slowly, "that Selena makes you smile with your whole face. Not just your mouth, but your eyes too. And when someone makes you smile with your whole face, you should definitely keep them around." She paused, then added with 8-year-old wisdom that stunned everyone. "Plus, she didn't get weird when I asked if you burp loud. That means she's seen your gross parts and stayed anyway. That's real love." The entire family exploded into laughter and tears simultaneously. Sarah was wiping her eyes with her apron. Ben was shaking his head in amazement at his daughter's insight, and Benny's parents were holding hands, remembering their own early days of love. But the most beautiful moment was still coming. Gracie suddenly stood up on the porch swing, making herself tall enough to look both Selena and Benny in the eyes. "I have something important to say," she announced with the gravity of a judge delivering a verdict. Everyone went quiet again, waiting. "Selena, you're not Uncle Benny's girlfriend anymore." Hart stopped. Had this whole beautiful moment been leading to rejection from the family's smallest but most influential member? "You're our family now, and that means we love you even when you do gross things too." The emotional dam burst. Selena started crying happy tears, pulling Gracie into the biggest hug. Benny wrapped his arms around both of them, and suddenly the entire family was converging on the porch swing for a massive group hug that would become legendary in Levin family history. "Welcome to the family, Aunt Selena," Gracie whispered in her ear. "Uncle Benny's going to marry you someday. I can tell." "How can you tell?" Selena whispered back. "Because he looks at you the same way Daddy looks at Mommy when he thinks nobody's watching. Like you're his favorite person in the whole world." The rest of the evening took on a magical quality that none of them would ever forget. It was as if Gracie's questions had broken down some invisible wall, and suddenly everyone was sharing stories and memories with a depth that surprised them all. Benny's dad told Selena about the first time Benny had mentioned her, how his whole demeanor had changed when he talked about this incredible woman he'd been working with. His mom shared how Benny had called her after their first real date, talking for 2 hours about everything from Selena's laugh to her thoughts on social justice. "I knew then," his mom said, "that this wasn't just another girlfriend. This was the one." Sarah pulled Selena aside and confessed that she'd been nervous about meeting her too. "Not because you're famous," she explained, "but because Benny has never been this happy. We were all scared that maybe it was too good to be true." "And now?" Selena asked. "Now I see why he lights up when he talks about you. You're exactly the person we hoped you'd be." The evening continued with more intimate revelations. Benny's grandmother, emboldened by the emotional atmosphere, shared how she'd been praying for Benny to find someone who would love him for his heart, not his success. "I've been watching you tonight," she told Selena, "and I can see that my prayers were answered." Even teenage Jake, who had been skeptical about meeting another one of Uncle Benny's girlfriends, found himself genuinely connecting with Selena. She didn't talk down to him or try too hard to be cool. Instead, she treated him like an interesting person worth knowing, asking about his skateboarding goals and offering genuine encouragement about his plans to make videos. Later that evening, as the barbecue wound down and dishes were being cleared, Selena found herself helping Gracie collect fireflies in mason jars. Benny was inside helping with cleanup, and for the first time all day, it was just the two of them. "Selena?" Gracie said, carefully approaching a particularly large firefly. "Yes, sweetie. I'm really glad Uncle Benny found you. He used to seem lonely sometimes, even when we were all together. But now he doesn't seem lonely anymore." Selena knelt down to Gracie's level, watching the little girl's face illuminated by the soft glow of captured fireflies. "You know what, Gracie? I used to feel lonely too, even when I was surrounded by thousands of people. But your uncle taught me that being with the right person means you never have to feel lonely again. Is that what love is? Not feeling lonely. I think that's a big part of it. But you know what else love is? What? Love is having someone who thinks your questions are important, even when they're hard questions. Thank you for asking me if I really love Uncle Benny. That was a very brave question." Gracie beamed with pride. "Mommy says I ask too many questions sometimes." "Mommy's wrong about that one. The people who ask the best questions are usually the people who care the most about the answers." They caught fireflies in comfortable silence for a while, each lost in their own thoughts. Then Gracie spoke up again. "Selena, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course. I was a little scared to meet you." "Why?" "Because Uncle Benny talks about you so much, and I thought maybe you wouldn't like kids, or maybe you'd be too fancy for our family." Selena felt her heart squeeze. "And what do you think now?" "I think you're just right for Uncle Benny. And I think our family is just right for you too." As they walked back toward the house, fireflies glowing in their jars like tiny stars, Gracie made one final observation that would stay with Selena forever. "I think you and Uncle Benny are going to have the kind of love story that makes people believe in love stories." "What makes you say that?" "Because you both looked surprised when I asked if you really loved each other, but then you both answered like you've been waiting your whole life for someone to ask." Inside the house, Benny was finishing up the last of the dishes when his brother Ben approached him. "That was something special out there," Ben said quietly. "Gracie's always been wise beyond her years," Benny replied, but Ben shook his head. "I'm not talking about Gracie. But your uncle taught me that being with the right person means you never have to feel lonely again. Is that what love is? Not feeling lonely. I think that's a big part of it. But you know what else love is? What? Love is having someone who thinks your questions are important, even when they're hard questions." "Thank you for asking me if I really love Uncle Benny." That was a very brave question. Gracie beamed with pride. "Mommy says I ask too many questions sometimes." "Mommy's wrong about that one. The people who ask the best questions are usually the people who care the most about the answers." They caught fireflies in comfortable silence for a while, each lost in their own thoughts. Then Gracie spoke up again. "Selena? I'm talking about Selena. The way she answered those questions, the way she looked at you while she was talking, man, she's the real deal." "I know," Benny said softly. "I've known for a while now. So, when are you going to ask her to marry you?" Benny looked out the window at Selena and Gracie catching fireflies, their laughter floating through the evening air. "Soon," he said. "Very soon." The conversation with his brother made Benny realize something important. He'd been carrying around his grandmother's engagement ring in his pocket for 3 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to propose. But watching Selena with his family tonight, seeing how naturally she fit into their chaos and how genuinely she connected with everyone from his grandmother to his 8-year-old niece, he understood that the perfect moment wasn't about perfect circumstances. It was about perfect certainty. 6 months later, when Benny proposed to Selena in his recording studio, surrounded by candles and playing a song he'd written just for her, the first person they called was Gracie. "I knew it," she squealed through the phone. "Are you going to have the wedding in Uncle Benny's backyard? And can I be the flower girl? And will you play the song he sings to you when you can't sleep?" "Yes to all of the above," Selena laughed. "But I have one condition." "What?" "I want you to help me write my wedding vows. Because you're the one who taught me the most important questions to ask about love." Today, Selena considers that August barbecue to be the moment she truly became part of the Levin family. Not because of any official announcement or declaration, but because an 8-year-old girl looked at their love with complete honesty and declared it real. The mason jar from that night, with its long-dead fireflies, sits on Selena and Benny's mantelpiece in their shared home. Sometimes, when they're having a particularly difficult day, They look at it and remember Gracie's words about love being the thing that makes you smile with your whole face. What do you think about this beautiful moment between Selena and little Gracie? Have you ever had a child ask you a question that made you realize something important about your own life? Sometimes the most profound truths come from the most innocent questions. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you believe that honest love can be recognized by anyone at any age, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories about the moments that define our favorite celebrity relationships. Because sometimes the most beautiful love stories are confirmed by the people who matter most, family.